Well,
All right, we're going live to YouTube right now.
Not a long time.
And don't worry, Rach, nobody is watching. So, because no one's like ready for this. So.
Oh, thanks. I wasn't even thinking about it.
Okay. Darn it. Bad producing, Gabe. Nobody's perfect.
We know.
Some of us are actually have some major bad points.
Some are more flawed than others.
Super flawed.
Some of us are better at hiding it.
I just have so many flaws to hide that I'm actually really good at hiding.
No, mine just like oozes.
There's just a lot that show. All right, and the show is all your guys whenever you're ready.
Nights, better days when you're here with me, babe. 'Cause you're all I crave, so I wonder.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to Therapy Rebranded, where we're consistently inconsistent.
Ding.
We are live for the first portion of this podcast because our producer is persistent. So
Persistent with
please
a capital
engage
P.
with us so we can
Persistence
prove
pays off.
him right.
Yay for Gabe.
Yeah, we're super excited. So we're going to do the Reddit part live, which is the part you guys engage with the most anyways.
It's the part where people argue with us and all that type of stuff.
Oh, people love to argue with our Reddit takes.
Eat that shit.
And also, we should say what kind of therapist you guys are just really quick before we launch into that.
I am a mental health. I'm a family therapist who works on inpatient. Sorry, guys. Today was long. I am a family therapist.
Just like your mom. That's like, oh my god.
I'm a family therapist who works on inpatient on a psych unit. So I work with patients who are suicidal, homicidal, don't have a place to live, or are dealing with psychosis, some addiction. Yeah. I mean, mostly though that we're just sitting there and hoping that they decide at some point that they want treatment, but we can't do anything besides that. You can't force anybody to get treatment for addiction.
I think of it as you see TV people.
TV people.
Yeah. You see, like, people who, like, we watch the shit that, like, the people that you see, we see them on TV. Or, like, in documentaries
Yes.
or something.
Absolutely.
She has like a movie job.
Yeah,
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 it's like a
right.
side
I
character in
have
a
definitely
movie.
worked
She
with
does.
kids who strangle cats, so.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyways.
Can I ask you one question before we go to Reddit?
Sure.
Because you said homicidal, and
Yeah.
you don't usually hear that word anymore,
Yeah.
except homicidal and then maniac after it.
Yeah.
So, like, have you ever seen a kid who actually kind of frightened you, or at least frightened what he'd do to someone else?
Yes. I've had kids that have tried to stab family members. I have kids who have successfully stabbed family members.
Can you bring those kids back? Like, I mean, if that's, like, you know what I mean? Is
Yes,
there any...
there is hope.
Okay.
The behavior doesn't necessarily mean that they don't have empathy or that something's off. A lot of kids who are homicidal also have psychosis. So they're homicidal because they're having paranoid delusions about somebody trying to harm them. So in their reality, like, they're protecting themselves. Some kids are homicidal because they've had, like, such significant trauma that they have, like, actual rage towards the people in their life, and there's always the 0.001% where you can't really say why, and it's really hard. It's really hard. Yeah, I mean, it's really hard because they're children. You got to give them benefit of the doubt. We don't, just lock kids up and throw away the key. They
Have
get
you
the
ever
most
seen one like that?
Hopefully.
Have you ever seen one like that? Where, like, you couldn't necessarily...
I mean, strangling animals, killing animals.
It's pretty up there.
It's pretty up there.
I put it up there.
Especially,
Gabe was like, oh, damn.
especially I think when
No, it's
especially if it's a family animal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that takes it to a new level. I mean, all animals.
But they have a connection, too.
You should be abnormally attached to this.
That, other people
living
have attachments
thing.
to. Yeah.
And you're attached. So,
And you did some sick shit to it.
I mean,
Wow.
there's some kids, and then there's like there's some kids who come to us that maybe weren't picked up for the first 2 years of their life too. Like, there's always a reason, but we don't know the reason. We just get a portion of what's going on. We just get a slice of information in a moment in time, and we just got to roll with it and try to get as much collect as much information as possible to make sure we're not missing important things. But you're always missing something important. It's like always. So
Is your dream job to, like, talk to, like, serial killers and shit like that? Like, the TV people?
No.
She's
My
not a
dream
TV
job is
person.
to work
She's
for
a real
myself.
therapist.
Yeah.
What do you do, Rachel?
What do I do? I'm an outpatient individual and couples therapist, so I see definitely a calmer population most of the time, at least in session with me. And
Who do you work for?
I work for myself.
Whisper, whisper.
I work for myself. I work for myself.
Why did you have to do this? Is that masculine to talk
No,
like you believe in yourself?
No, actually, do you want to know? 'Cause in my head, it's actually my finance guy. It was just like, you own this is your shit. You have to like say, and I'm like thinking of his voice, and like this is how he says it to me. Is like he's like Italian, and he like,
Great.
this is you now.
So what is the name of your business?
The Collective Mental Health and Wellness. And I'm currently taking clients. I'm taking couples. I'm taking individuals from the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. And I am not taking insurance right now. I can't take insurance right now. I am going to hopefully be, in the next couple months, hopefully, cross his fingers, taking MA, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and United. And
Whisper, whisper.
United, sorry, I can't tell how loud it is. To me, it sounds loud.
It's not loud at all.
Okay, United Healthcare and Health Partners. But for right now, I'm just private pay and telehealth, unfortunately. But hopefully by the end of summer, I will have a space, hopefully, to share.
How come every time I ask you about your business, you act surprised that you would pitch your business on your podcast at the beginning? Every time.
Because I don't, like, I'm just like a... Oh God, it's just so cringy. It's just so cringy to like, not the pot. It's cringy to like,
Be proud of yourself.
yeah,
Wow.
or like be a small business owner.
I sort of agree. Like, I sort of feel
Dude, I
what
just
you're-
am like,
yeah.
I get it. Like yours and everybody else is like just talk about it. I'm like,
It's also.
But you're
does
already
seem like-
sinking money into it, so you have to promote it.
I know.
You don't have a choice.
I know.
Pretend you're poor and work hard. Grind.
I know. I know.
You only have 12 months to make this work, or you have
It's
to
crazy.
give
It's-
up on your dreams
it's
and
like-
get a day job. Pretend.
I'm like, what do I like? Well, I did right. I'm like looking up like, what do you do to build your business? So I like came up with an email to like send to people, and I came up with an email list, and I'm like,
nice.
but now I'm like, I'm never gonna send it out. So
Anyways, so that's what Rachel does. She works for herself. She's a really good therapist. Black people really enjoy working with her. A lot of people who are from 17 to probably 25 come and try to do identity work with her. You're super good at that. You're
Yeah.
good at supporting couples.
I am.
She works really hard not to be biased towards men in session. She
Really
works
hard.
really, really hard to hold women accountable.
Really
So if that sounds appealing to you, Black men, bring your women in. Be right about something for once.
be right about it, and then let me like catch you with like a little sneaky one.
You're not good at.
I
You're not
actually
good at
find-
promoting yourself.
I actually find her to be very fair. Like with me when we talk. You know, when I
Yeah.
drop all my problems on you guys. Yeah.
She's harder on you than she is on the men in session.
Yeah, I am.
Oh, really?
Way
Well,
harder.
I go like
Maybe behind my back.
Well,
or
I
something.
also like build up. I like try and build up a lot of trust, which I don't. It's just what I do with them. before I
She's
say
harder.
something.
She's harder on you, Gabe, because she knows you in real life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, everyone's hard on me.
Yeah, you bring it out of people.
Wah, wah, wah.
All right, pull up the Reddit.
All right, here we go. And I got already got some questions coming in, so I'm excited. But we'll do first one.
Oh, perfect. Am I doing the first one? Yeah. Therapy is extremely dangerous for people with attachment trauma and no support system. You like how I get louder when I have like a script? I'm going to say it louder.
It's so much easier to lean into others than yourself.
Shut up, Eva. I'm going to say it louder for the people in the back. Therapy is extremely dangerous for people with developmental trauma and no support system. This is because it is common for therapists to come to believe all of the worst about vulnerable clients that the clients have learned to believe about themselves. People who have solid, healthy support systems are more inclined to have healthier, intact boundaries. They are far less likely to become completely emotionally dependent on their therapist, investing total trust and self-disclosure where reasonable caution and self-care are warranted. Alternatively, those who struggle and fail to create healthy, supportive relationships are further likely to be belittled and bullied in therapy in the same way they have been in the rest of their lives. The therapist and their supervision are much more likely to come to stigmatize them. This is because the field of behavioral health is not any more likely to attract self-aware, empathetic, systemic oppression-conscious individuals than any other vocation. When a client continually fails to thrive socially and professionally because of their trauma-induced behaviors, their therapist, who can easily pay lip service to being trauma-informed because it is financially advantageous to do so, easily slips into contempt and stigma towards the client. This is exactly what happened to me. It is especially damaging because the destruction is just so invisible. Outside of therapy, critical spaces, it is thoroughly unknown. There are no words to describe it. An unaware, average career-driven therapist and their supervision come to see the client as permanently damaged, borderline, or hysteria diagnosis goods.
Can I just pause? This is not therapist me. This is petty internal me, and maybe it's because she's coming for therapist. But I knew that you got a borderline diagnosis when I was reading this,
And
that doesn't mean that the borderline diagnosis was accurate. That doesn't mean you weren't misdiagnosed and blamed. But in the language of what you were talking around of what happened to you and how you were treated when you were staying stigmatized, when you were talking about not being able to maintain healthy social circles, I knew. And I will say, the population of people who are diagnosed with borderline personality are treated with a lot of stigma, are treated like they aren't able. Fuck Rachel. Sorry, I'm just kidding.
No, I know. I'm just cracking.
Are treated like they can't be helped. A lot of therapists genuinely don't enjoy working with that population and aren't honest about it, and do a lot of like victim blaming. You aren't wrong, and one thing this population struggles with is accountability. And so I'm wondering if the way your therapist was trying to hold you accountable felt very not good.
This is literally feedback that I've heard clients. Okay. Yeah, sorry.
Okay,
I'll keep going. Okay, sorry. A client doesn't require borderline or personality disorder diagnosis to be the target of their therapist's hostility and sense of superiority.
Sure.
They merely need to fit the psychographic I've described. I can't even wait. However,
this is your old client.
Yes. That's literally what I was just about to say. I have two. However, having a trauma history with zero support system makes one more vulnerable to being labeled with the most stigmatizing diagnoses. And I have another thought. Therapists tell themselves and their colleagues, not the fucking quote.
Pause, though. The second thing I want to say just about this last paragraph. Having a history with zero support system, having a trauma history with zero support system makes one more vulnerable to being labeled with the most stigmatizing diagnoses. I think having no support system makes a person vulnerable to engaging in the behaviors that fall into the cluster that we would call cluster B, which we would put borderline in, because a lot of the behaviors are fear of abandonment, are around being afraid of being abandoned, and around not understanding how to build healthy connection. And if you never had that growing up, it makes sense that you're not able to do that.
Like, a lot of this language isn't wrong. It's just like...
I can literally picture a conversation in my head.
Yes.
And what the therapist was trying to do. And obviously we're biased. Okay, I won't interrupt anymore.
No, you're fine. Therapists tell themselves and their colleagues, I have come to dislike them. No wonder other people dislike them. There's no healing for them, only maintenance. And I'm sick of hearing their whining about being poor, workplace exploitation, friends and partners turning mean and abandoning them. Their own behavior drives people away, as it is doing to me. And then their peers validate them. As an afterthought, it is absolutely necessary to have the convictions of a societal dissident and a abolitionist, Jesus Christ, they went hard, to gain dominion over these childhood and therapy-induced inner voices of shame. That was a run-on sentence. We must embody the agents of change in our own lives. And then everybody beneath was like loving up this shit, which I can't say that out loud. Sorry.
I want to know who she got that quote from. Who said that? No one.
I feel like it's something that comes out of trainings, actually. I think I've been in trainings before about...
By the way, I work a lot with this population.
Yeah.
A lot. Because there's a lot of suicidality with borderline diagnoses.
I don't work a lot with this population, but people have floated through the door who either I've given it to me...
We got to send them somewhere.
Got to send them somewhere. And I actually...
they deserve community support too. That's the thing that's hard is a lot of therapists. In a way, I agree with this. In a way, because a lot of therapists aren't equipped to handle this. They do take the behaviors personally, and they do, I think, have a lot of countertransference where they're feeling manipulated and misused. A lot of therapists struggle when they feel like they can't trust their clients. They feel like their clients aren't telling them the truth in session, or aren't able to build trust. Back and forth. I think a lot of therapists get into a dynamic with people who have borderline where they are like, I feel like I've been working really hard to build trust with you, and it doesn't matter how hard I work to build that trust. I'm still getting a lot of big feedback whenever I share any kind of opinions or try to use interventions or try to give strategies. And so I think people get very frustrated. It's also why we kind of are often telling people who have borderline diagnoses to do like a group setting like DBT or something like that, because that has been shown to be an intervention that's more helpful, and it leans towards therapists who have that skill set, so they also are more able to help you. And then on top of it, you're practicing with other people who are working on like social skills. So anyways.
I had a client call me like last week who I worked with previously, who I sent to do DBT work, and who called me to like thank me. It was like life changing. She's like, I'm glad we're doing this so I can like come back and work with you. But like the skill stuff is so important, and it's something that I'm not like I don't do like the communication skills stuff, which is something I want to get better at. But
So yeah, therapists. Mm-hmm. So just to like break it down, basically what we're saying is we think from reading this that the person writing in was an individual therapy, probably more than once, with other people. These comments are good. I'll get to them.
So good.
Individual therapy more than once, probably with a therapist who was not equipped to support someone with that level of trauma history.
Which might be true.
And it probably is true.
Yeah.
They were were in therapy with somebody who wasn't equipped to handle that. I'm going to guess that the therapist also wasn't equipped, and like maybe, I don't even know. I can't say farther than that what didn't go well, but what I'm assuming is that like the support and feedback they were giving you when they were trying to hold you accountable felt blaming and judgmental. Mm-hmm. And I get that. And that doesn't mean that like, I'm not saying that
it's like the what else
people need to be diagnosed or have to be diagnosed, but that doesn't mean that your diagnosis is wrong.
Yeah.
Sorry. Anyways, this comment, it's a predatory system designed to take advantage of the most vulnerable. When it comes to trauma or not having a healthy support system to tell you that something is wrong, you encounter the one-size-fits-all CBT.
Yeah, they hate CBT.
Me too. And medications show where you're told everything you think is wrong, it needs to be normalized through thought correction and drugs, and you just go along with it because you trust in the authority that has been sold to you as proper and scientific, the thing you're supposed to do. In reality, they can't deal with the past and can't fix the present, so they try to fool you with sleight of hand and the best tactics of cults. Whoa.
What is CBT?
Cognitive behavioral therapy. And so basically,
it's what?
It's not even that. So here, CBT.
It's not. It's very.
You want to describe what
Sorry,
it is?
go ahead. Sorry, I'm just.
Okay. Cognitive behavioral therapy. So basically, CBT is it's a way to do therapy in which like the belief system is that like your thoughts impact your behaviors, and so you're challenging your thoughts so that your behaviors will be different. Mm-hmm. It's teaching people how to like talk to their anxious thoughts or depressed thoughts and kind of like, okay, how do I have a different perspective on this? How do I work with this differently? And a lot of people feel like CBT is stupid because like if something actually traumatic is going on or something with a lot of weight is happening in your life, like if your mom is dying, like sure, like getting a different perspective on her death and like trying to, you know, make meaning out of it and think differently might give some relief, but it's not enough, right? And so
definitely not for right now.
What I think is like CBT has like a place. I think it's like a tool that you can use in session to challenge people when maybe they're spiraling or like spinning a little bit and like, you know, maybe going to worst case scenario and giving them the tools to kind of get themselves out of that anxious thought process. I don't think for most people, unless your life is pretty stable, that's good enough.
It's not getting to the stuff.
No. You want to read this other comment by Rin?
I can't read it. I can't see it.
Okay.
I know, bro. My eyes are so bad.
This destroyed my life. I'm between triggered and extremely grateful to have just read this and the OP statement. Other person's statement, because this directly happened to me and no one cares that the mental health system and specific therapists/psychs took advantage of me to ruin my life for profit and ego and political reasons. Taken me to forever to validate myself internally at all. Thank you so much for writing this. I'm in a very dark spiral, you can tell, because of the treatment of this treatment. It is culty behavior / treatment I received from most everyone. I didn't know I was in a cult and then got treated the same way everywhere I went for support or was forced into going.
I feel like I know this person, and that really disturbs me.
Name them. Call them out.
No, it's a friend of, but like someone who speaks in this manner, you know, where it's dramatic and everything is like against them, and I've never known how to diagnose this woman, but but like I'm
She
seeing
has
two of them
this.
in a row.
She has this.
Is it borderline disorder
She's
or
afflicted.
borderline personality?
I don't know. That would be,
I know.
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't know for sure.
Yeah.
but
I mean,
what are the vibes?
the vibes are giving someone tried to hold you accountable. People are you're going to multiple therapists and they're telling you you're the problem over and over again. Is the vibe I'm getting.
And the thing
And
is, people
that's the vibe. That was what I was trying to say without saying before. Multiple therapists have told you over and over again, your behavior is making your life worse. Yes, I feel sad that happened to you, but your life will not change until your behavior changes.
and the title's misleading. It's misleading because I thought it was gonna. I was like, oh yeah, I feel that. Like, you shouldn't be discussing trauma. You shouldn't be talking about trauma if they don't have a support system. If there isn't kind of other things. If there aren't any coping skills, that's unethical and just not right or whatever. And yeah, I don't know. This just wasn't that.
Look at the very last one is the OP, I think, is original poster or whatever, like the author of the post.
Certain humans can't resist gravitating toward the weak or vulnerable people in order to dispose of their own shame, using what their unconscious sees as a representative object of everything weak within the aggressor. You want to know something ironic about this post? There's a lot of therapy language in it, but you guys hate therapy. There's a lot of therapy
Deep
language for you guys to hate therapy. Just saying. You must have got something from it. All right. Did you say there was
Crazy.
questions, Gabe?
Well, yeah, there are. I was going to say we can do them at the end. They're just people who wrote in because I told a bunch of people that we are going to do this.
Wow, we appreciate
So I got
that.
some people, who wrote in and, want some free therapy, I guess.
Okay.
No, whatever. They're just asking some general questions.
I love that.
Yeah. So should we do the next Reddit first?
Yeah, we can.
Okay.
Hit
boom,
me,
boom, boom,
baby, one more time.
There's no need for that.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I'm joking.
God, that was so close to it. You're going to demonetize us. I'm just kidding. No, it wasn't. Don't fool yourself. You're not very good at this sarcasm.
I was like,
What?
I was like, I can't
We're
say
not
it.
even monetized. It's okay. It's okay.
Yo, today's just an off.
Can you read this one? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just don't have it in me.
Oh, sorry. You
I
sent
sent it
me.
to you. Yeah. I mean, if you want my phone, you can have it.
No, I just can't
I
read
If
them
she
up
can't
there.
find it, I can read it for you guys too if you need.
No,
it.
I sent it
It's
to
better
her.
for
No, I like reading them. I just can't read them up there.
That's crazy.
It is crazy.
You need to wear some glasses.
I have an appointment next week. I, 35-year-old male, told my wife, 32-year-old female, I want a divorce after she implied I am sexually abusing our daughter, 4-year-old female. What is I?
Am I overreacting?
Am I overreacting? So what for what led up to this? There's a major heat wave where we live right now. I ended up working late tonight. So when my wife got home at 5:45, she called me and was yelling about how the air conditioner has come unattached from the window and the apartment was hot as fuck. I told her to open up the windows, go to the pool, drive around in the AC, and was met with demands to leave work immediately and head home. Being the asshole I am, I did hang up on her as I was in the middle of working on something and figured she could handle it. This led to her calling nonstop and yelling, then hanging up over the next hour about how much of an asshole I am. I finished my work and began the drive home. It took me an hour to get there, during which she had continued calling, went to Home Depot, asked me what she needed, a 5.9-inch hose, asked me where it was, and yelled when I said I don't know, ask an employee, I'm driving. Words were exchanged, we both sucked. I got home and fixed the hose in about 5 minutes, called to let her know it was fixed, and was hung up on again. Her and my daughter finally made it home about 20 minutes later, and she decided to sit in her car. I set my daughter up on her tablet, cleaned up a bit around the house, and sat down with my daughter. She finally came inside, marched upstairs to the bathroom, and ignored us. When it came time to put our daughter to bed, she said it was my turn. Our daughter is a COVID baby, a co-sleeper, and just weaned off breastfeeding 6 months ago. She only falls asleep.
She was breastfeeding 6 months ago? Wow.
Yeah. That's not what I pictured. She only falls asleep with a parent laying with her. Judge me, I don't care. Our daughter was hot and grumpy and didn't want to go to bed with me. She said I make her itchy. Long beard, hairy arms make sense. So she proceeded to cry for her mom and say she wants mommy to put her to bed. After a few minutes, my wife came upstairs and said she doesn't want to go to bed with you. I don't know if you're touching her or what, but I'm going to find out. Jesus. I lost it. I grabbed clothes for tomorrow. My phone said I'm done. I want a divorce and have left home. Am I overreacting?
Absolutely not. Get the fuck out of that house. Get the fuck out of that house.
Yeah.
Your poor daughter. Because the mom hasn't done enough to not have custody, so you're going to be, that's her mommy.
Yeah.
That escalated so quickly. I didn't think it was going to go that high. This just seemed like two people who are angry at each other, have some underlying issues, and we're like going at it throughout the day. I thought this was gonna. If I hadn't seen the title, I would have thought this was just gonna end with pettiness. I did not think it was maybe, and this is the wife's version of quote petty, but this is no.
You know what my immediate thought is with this is that she's having an affair.
Why?
I don't know. It's just like that's what people do to like get out of relationships. I feel like, or to like get away from people. Like they push them. Like that's a horrible. I don't know.
I feel like this is a flippant comment.
Oh, like it was just like a dig.
Yes. And that just shows you like how off she is.
Yeah.
It comes. That's my opinion. I mean, maybe she clearly doesn't want to. I mean, she probably doesn't want to be with him. She probably is having an affair. I don't know, but
that's. I don't. Ooh. Yeah. Yeah. You should get out for sure. Yeah. You should leave.
It's really normal to prefer one parent. Sometimes that's not. There's nothing weird about
petty.
that. It's just also really scary. Like as a man, I feel like you can't take this shit lightly. Mm-hmm. Like you can't.
That she would even say it.
You're putting like your own safety at risk. Mm-hmm. I've literally ended friendships with women before, multiple who like
just say shit.
Just like we're did something or engaged in something consensually, and then we're like insinuating something about it was like unconsensual later, and like didn't say it and weren't acting like they were going to do anything about it, but were like insinuating it. People that I like know and respected, and I was like actually there, and like nothing about that is how that went down, and just like it made me just immediately not trust them as a person.
Yeah,
like, you can't even like.
What else would you do?
Can't be around. Mm-hmm. Like this is crazy.
Can't be trusted.
You can't like you casually dropping that because like you're embarrassed. Like that's usually what it would come from because you're embarrassed. You slept with that person or you made that decision last night. Mm-hmm. That's someone's livelihood.
Can't fuck with it.
You know what's crazily going around right now?
Say
rampant in the middle schools that the girls are like saying boys assaulted them.
Really?
Rampant. And
Here.
a lot of
in Minneapolis?
In
wherever, United States.
Minnesota, like in the hospital. Rampant.
Wow.
And it's the boys coming in like wanting to kill themselves because they're like, I didn't do it. But like everyone in my little town believes her, and like we didn't even have sex or like whatever the thing was, or like, and I have girls who like I also have like a lot of teen girls, but I feel like this has always existed, who like were assaulted, and then everyone in the school is like, she's a slut.
Yeah.
But she didn't even tell anybody that she was assaulted. That guy just went around bragging that he hooked up with her. But yeah, a lot more of that. And I actually like some that were like straight up disproved.
Yeah.
Like by like
everybody.
Police getting involved in like all these things. But like it doesn't matter because like everyone else believes it. Crazy.
Can you imagine what that would feel like on the inside?
I know what it would feel like. It would be maddening. It would feel, and I feel like as a teenager, it would feel like that stigma is never going to be washed off you.
I'm sure it feels maddening. I don't know I can't imagine what that feels like, but it would drive me insane. I can't.
It's scary. It's scary to think about with like my brother and stuff too, because I'm just like.
Any girl. You have to be over like.
Any girl. Any girl could just say something and.
Yeah, because she's mad at you.
It was just for whatever reason, and she doesn't even have to be mad. Something could just be.
Right.
She could be in the 0.0001%. She's just off.
Crazy. Yeah.
She's off. And yeah. So, anyways, no, you're not overreacting, and I'm guessing your wife's acting like you're overreacting, and fuck her. On to the next. Oh no.
Comments.
Oh, comments.
Questions.
We got some. Yeah, I got some comments.
Questions, comments,
Let me push some
concerns.
through. So these were some that were sent to me. Let's see. We're keeping them anonymous, so it's whoops. Hang on one second.
Call them out. Call them out.
Yeah, I know, right?
No, because we need people to engage.
No, we do.
Yeah, not call out the commenter, but yeah, yeah.
Just
Here we go. Social. Sorry. There we go. Here comes the first one. Oh, let me change that font so you can read it a little better. That is
I can
hard
read
to
it.
read.
I can read it.
Can you really?
Yeah. After 12 years of marriage, my wife had suddenly Oh, never mind. Okay.
Yeah. Do you want me to change it?
No, it just one word was misspelled and it threw me.
Okay.
After 12 years of marriage, my wife has suddenly started insinuating that she's unsure of me, that she is uncomfortable with my family history of sexual abusing kids, dad/grandpa. This is utterly ridiculous, and she has not changed the fact that I watch the kids majority of the time.
I feel like I need more information.
I feel like what I'm getting out of this is that his wife is insinuating that because somebody, his father, the kid's grandfather, has a history of sexual abuse, that's like been passed down somehow genetically to him and makes him like less safe around the kids. This is so similar to the last thing.
Yeah, that's what I thought too when I saw
eerily,
that.
Yeah, and this
is real, like 100% real.
This is so similar to the last one. I have the same advice, like get out.
Get out.
Get out.
Real.
Anybody who would weaponize this is not a safe person.
And retain a lawyer quickly.
Yes.
Wow.
Whoever, this is not a safe person. And the reason why I say this is because, like, they don't have a line. Like, this is crossing a new line. And also, like, it feels like they're trying to do damage to you, like, make you question your own sanity. Because I'm guessing that they knew this information about you when they got with you. And so, like,
yeah,
the fact that they're choosing to weaponize it now, like, lets you know that, like, this is like something they've been keeping in their back pocket to use. Like, this isn't like they got this new information and now it's making them question something. They were holding on to this and keeping it for later.
And it gives to me like they were pushed in that direction, or like they like heard something.
I don't get that at all.
You don't think so?
No.
Like
No.
I actually know it, unfortunately, but I don't feel like I can say it, so
Yeah.
I won't.
Oh, really?
But yeah. But
I don't think anything. I doubt.
Janae read it right, and yeah.
I don't think that.
I think she has been holding it in her back pocket. It's still malicious. It's still like a malicious thing.
The fact
Rachel's
that
right to an extent, though. Like, there was a conversation that happened that
That's
with
what I'm
someone
saying, like
outside their relationship.
But it doesn't matter. You already knew this.
Yes.
Right.
You already knew
100%.
this. And the part that's the most damning, why I don't believe that she's actually more worried now, is because he said that she is still with the kids. He's still with the kids the majority of the time. So if you thought that if you truly shifted your perspective to he's not safe, you wouldn't be leaving your kids with him.
It's giving a fair.
It's giving blow up the marriage.
Yeah, it is. That's what I mean when I say
it's
that.
giving I want full custody and a shit ton of child support.
Yeah, it's giving get away from
Because
us.
I don't know if you're
It's giving
safe.
I want you out of the I want you
I don't even know.
Wow, you guys are blowing me away. Actually, that it's this like. I mean, I also
You don't,
felt
like-
no. I thought sort of the same, but that I don't know.
That's
just-
a big thing. Like that's like a you don't come back from that.
It's fucking enormous. I mean, it's just to hear you guys react the way I feel too. I guess.
You can't say that and then have your actions reflect that you actually think I'm safe.
Yes.
That's the part that's
Psycho.
Well
Sorry.
put.
Sorry.
No, that's awesome.
No,
You're
I'm
right,
just
though.
you
That's-
keep cutting me off.
interrupting.
This is why we
Sorry.
stopped going live.
Sorry.
So no, I think I literally think the behaviors don't reflect that she feels unsafe. So you saying or insinuating that in some way I'm unsafe is like you fucking with my head. And like I would be very nervous. I would be really, really afraid that narrative is somehow would be pushed onto my kids or shared with my kids or
It will be.
at some point, and like that she's sharing it with other people, and so it would like get back to my kids, or that she would say it to the kids or ask the kids leading questions. Like
That's insidious.
It's in the zeitgeist now.
Oh,
it's out there. I'm not saying she's gonna do it, but like she's demonstrated that her line is that low. And like there's certain people where the line or they don't have a line, and then now I'm out. When I don't think you have a line, I'm out. Because the other thing is like, fuck me being your husband. Like, are you willing to have our kids grow up with the trauma of thinking that their dad is this kind of person? Knowing firsthand the impact because you know me, just to smear me,
What's the purpose?
there.
What's the reason?
No,
There's
this
no-
benefits nobody
Right.
but her. And like when people don't put their kids first, I side eye them.
Weird ass shit.
Side eye.
okay. Here's the next one coming through, sort of similar. Actually, different person, but
That's a big question.
here we go. We got
You said same person,
no,
Oh.
not the same.
which would be fine. You could ask two questions.
Yeah.
Do you think it's reasonable in a marriage for either partner to demand the other goes to therapy without defining what issues should be addressed and doesn't believe they need to go? This is such a good question
It is
because
a good question.
this happens a lot in relationships where I feel like the woman demands the man go to therapy.
I was just gonna say. I
Demands.
feel
I think so. First of all, I think you have more to stand on if you are demanding couples therapy than maybe individual therapy. I don't know what you think about that. No.
I want you to finish your sentence.
I feel like you have more to stand on because I feel like trying to demand couples therapy is saying like you guys both need to work on something as a relationship. And I feel like as I've gotten older and I'm actually practicing as a therapist, like demanding that somebody like go work on themselves, I think is kind of a boundary cross. I mean, I definitely have conversations with people I'm dating about like, you know, I would love for you to go to, like, I'm not again.
Yeah.
It'd be great if you went to therapy, but like the best thing about you going to therapy is like you demonstrating that you want to work on yourself. So like,
Right.
it's not even going to be effective, I guess, if someone's forcing you to go.
It's like symbolic.
So I don't know if it's reasonable or
So-
not, but I just think it's a little bit of a boundary cross.
I agree with that. I agree that it's a boundary cross. I think as somebody who works with couples, when they enter the room, I would prefer, and I do say this, that like you both are in individual therapy.
Because
Because the things that you're bringing into the room are hard to talk about. You want an outside source. You want somebody who's on your side, like kind of aligned with you personally. Kind of the space is stressful, and you don't always want to have to. And I might say, you know, maybe don't talk about this together for the next week or something like that. But you're right. If you're not in like the couples therapy space, I don't think that you can ask somebody to go to individual. You could ask, but you can't. There's no like it's a different kind of requirement.
I feel like there's a lot of women who ask their husbands to go to therapy because one, the women feel like I'm in therapy, so I'm working on
yep.
myself. So
Yep.
like I should be able to ask you to work on yourself. I think that's like the thought process. And then I also think even though maybe she's not saying like this is what you need to fix in therapy, and this might not be to this situation, this is just in general. Often there is a repeated mantra of what they don't like about you or the relationship. So the insinuation would be that's what I want you to work on in therapy, I think.
Right. It's almost like I'm taking my husband or my partner to therapy and he's the problem and like look what I brought and like let's work on him. Is kind of the feeling.
No, I'm saying that this person
I've
said
got one of those in here too.
I'm saying that this person said do you think it's reasonable in a marriage for either partner to demand the other goes to therapy without defining what issues should be addressed?
Yes.
And what I'm saying is
Yes.
that I'm sure throughout the course of your marriage, you know what your wife dislikes and
Yes.
wants you to work on. Come
And
on.
Does that feel tricky to you? Does that feel like a thing that's like a?
It just feels like it.
Because to me it does.
Why does it feel tricky?
It feels like a. It's that thing that I feel like there has to be some sort of phrase or word to explain what that is. But
I think it just comes across
it's like
as
a bait and
dismissive.
switch. Yes.
It comes across as dismissive of
Yes.
like she doesn't like there's nothing for you to work on.
Yes.
The core issue in all of this is like, do you and your partner agree on what needs to change in your marriage for it to be better?
Ooh.
Do you agree on that? Because if you agree on that, there's a lot of different ways to get to there. If you can agree on what the goal is, how to get there will be a lot easier. What do you guys both want changed in your marriage?
Yep.
Can you agree on that? Is there a common goal that you guys can work towards? Because if not,
It's a moot point.
That's amazing. I've never actually heard that before.
Well, it's interesting, and that's the thing that you have to tell couples, I think, that is so important, that usually one party, at least in my experience, thinks that, like, they don't need to be in couples therapy or thinks that they don't need to be in individual therapy. They're like, okay, I'm here because she or he thinks that there's problems, but I don't think that there's problems. So I'm not even, like,
But
I'm not
most
saying
of-
that that's this person, but I think that, like, and then when it's kind of, what is that called? Weaponized incompetence or something. It's like, well, there's no issues or there's nothing like that pressing, or it's like, well, you know, it's normal relationship stuff. And then when you dig into it, they're like, oh, like, I could actually be way more satisfied, or I could be way more getting more fulfillment out of my own life or my life with my partner or whatever it is. But this is kind of like complacency and like, why are we doing this?
but I also think that's like the shared goal thing, right? So like if your husband or your wife like thinks that the things you want to change in the marriage don't need to change, that's a much bigger problem than whether or not they're going to go to therapy. And I
Yeah.
feel like people focus on, are you going to therapy? Are you going to therapy? To get out of the like the part that would end in divorce, which is that like we don't want the same things out of marriage. We don't want the same things out of life. So
We have to go separate ways.
we either have to negotiate how we each both change or be in the middle, or we're going to have to go separate ways. And so people just do the like therapy thing because I think what I'm guessing that the wife in this situation is hoping is that they're going to go to therapy, realize that they actually do want some of the things that the wife wants and that the wife is right. You know, like that those things will actually make the marriage better. Or that maybe they'll decide, oh, I really want to do. Maybe the reason why, you know, the wife is dissatisfied, I'm just making this up, is because like the husband's really anxious all the time and like his anxiety makes him kind of snappy. And like maybe, you know, she thinks he's going to like go into therapy and like work on his anxiety, and that's going to just turn to him being better in the relationship. That's very hopeful thinking. You don't have that much control over how it's going to go, but I think that's where women go often.
Women go there often, and it's almost like a crack of the whip. It's almost like, see, it's bad. Like we have to go to couples therapy. Not all the time. Some people just go for maintenance or whatever it is, but I think often it's I need help communicating to you how I feel, or I need help understanding you, or I need help kind of like navigating these things. And I think we need a third party, or we need like a witness often is what I hear people use. Like I want somebody to see what's going on with us.
They want a mediator.
Right.
They want someone to tell them who's right or wrong.
Right. They want that.
Yeah.
But a good therapist hopefully would not do that, in my opinion.
So the thing that's interesting about the like wanting someone to tell them like who's right or wrong or what's going on, like a lot of what I deal with in family therapy is lying. There's a lot of lying going on. And a lot of like my intervention with the teens is like it's with the teen and the parent. So like the teen is lying to the parent. The parent's asking the teen to do something. They're saying they're going to do it or they're not, you know, like stop
Teen
smoking
stuff.
Weed or stop doing this or that. And the kid's like, okay. And they agree to it. And then they continue to do it. Right. And the parents almost always like, it would just be better if you told me the truth. So then every time we play that out, we usually come to the conclusion that there was no room for the kid to tell the truth. Because if the kid said, okay, well, I'm actually not going to stop smoking weed, I really want to, that's going to, and you guys are going to argue until that kid lies to you and says, okay,
Fine,
I'll
I
stop. So like they're avoiding all of that, right? So it's like a lot of, I think, people focus on like the communication aspect or like how we're going to fix this and not whether or not the other person wants to fix it. The core issue is that the kid doesn't want to stop smoking weed, not that they're lying to you.
Right.
But people focus on the lying. The core issue isn't that you're not in therapy. It's that you guys don't have shared goals on your relationship.
Speak on it. Speak on it.
This one came through, gives a lot about what you're just talking about, so I just wanted to put this one through. But I think there's a question within it that's a little different.
This one's bigger. I can see this one.
Okay.
How do I handle communication with my spouse who insists that I'm 100% the problem in our relationship? She won't take responsibility for her actions, several really over cheating signals, won't allow access to her phone or iPad.
And there's a continuation of it, as you said.
There's a continuation?
Yeah, hang on. So it's, let me find it here. Here we go.
I found lacy thong black underwear after a business trip. I haven't seen underwear like that in our house for years. She also won't give me the passwords to her devices if I ask for the kids.
And then
I ask for the kids' sake. She gets defensive and attacks when I bring it up. What is a reasonable response on her part? I don't have definitive proof, just a ton of smoke.
So basically, he thinks that the wife is cheating, and he feels like he has proof because she's being cagey with her phone and now buying sexy underwear, which they're not using together, and he is not able to talk to her about it because she gets so defensive. Is that right?
Yeah, like he's saying he doesn't have definitive proof, so you don't want to blow up a marriage, but it's also like this is so much smoke, and she won't engage about it.
And there was something about the kids. I forgot.
I think it was like she won't even share the passwords when it has to do with the kids.
Oh, yeah, even with
yes.
the kid. Like, that's how it was discovered that you wouldn't share passwords.
So what I think about this is that I'm not necessarily... I think you have to bring it up, but I don't think you have to make it an accusation. I think you can just... It sounds like she's really defensive when you bring it up generally. Like, if you're... or when you're trying to bring up the little random pieces. And so what I would just say is, like... I know this sounds insane, but there's just a piece of me that's curious if you've been having an affair. Yeah. I just feel like, and lay out all the things. And like, I've just been building a case in my head, and it feels almost unfair to you that I'm not like letting you in on this, because I do feel like it's impacting how I see our marriage, and like, tell me if I'm crazy. And you'll find out a lot about that conversation, because if she's not willing to engage in like a authentic conversation with empathy, maybe she won't initially, but if she doesn't circle back with like some empathy and some answers, You got your answer.
Yeah.
She's cheating on you.
Cheating.
She's cheating on you. Does that make sense, Gabe?
Yeah, oh, I mean, hell yeah. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's the worst position in the world when, like, you said something earlier that I thought was great, and I feel like I'm losing it already. But the whole thing of if you guys can't agree on what the solution is, kind of, or like what needs to change, and it's kind of. But there was something else you said about, it was actions. Like, if your action doesn't match the accusation.
Yes.
I think that is, like, what a great tool to have. Like, that's a simple way to understand whether you're crazy or not. Because that's what happens in marriages, in my mind, is I'm the divorce guy, so everyone who's getting a divorce, whatever, they flock to me, to, like, talk about it.
You've been through it. You made it out.
Yeah, and it's like, and I know how, it seems like everyone comes with the same, like, kind of crazy-making thing, where they're just lost in this, like, where they're not blaming angry. They're like, I just truly don't know what's up and down anymore.
Well, there's kind of so many things. There's like so much water under the bridge, which is like an easy way to like tie it in a bow, but people just don't even know where to start in their relationship. And so they just want to like...
Everyone gets caught up in the details. That's the hardest part. That's the hardest part of like a new therapist who comes into my position. Like they're caught. Well, no, you're caught up in the details. Oh my God, they're psychotic. Oh my God, they said this. Can you believe that they tried to stab someone in 3rd grade? Did you read the chart where it said they were sexually abused 5 times? And like everyone's so up here with it. And I'm like, yeah, there's like the big trauma, right? Like it matters. The details matter, but the details matter because it tells you about the theme. The themes are the same even when it's not atrocious.
The relational stuff, all that.
Yes, the like, does this person feel safe? Does this person have the skills to connect with other people? Does this person feel hopeful about the future? Does this person have a support system? Does this person want to engage in treatment? Does this person have goals for their life? Like, those are all the same. How are their mental health symptoms impacting how they function at school and in the world? Those are the same no matter if the trauma is big or small, no matter if you're coming in because you're dissatisfied with your life, no matter if you're 50 or 20. Like, people get caught up in the details. And I feel like that's what happens in marriage is like you're caught up in the details instead of like the overarching theme. Like, pull out of the details of this, you are questioning whether or not your wife is being faithful to you, and you don't feel safe enough in the marriage to ask her about it.
That's a thing.
That's the thread. That's the core issue. That's the issue in the marriage. The other shit's fluff. It's ego because it would be disrespectful for her to cheat on you, so it hurts your fucking feelings.
And that's free game. And...
The core issue is regardless of whether she's cheating or not, because if you find out she's not cheating, don't just let this go away, because this will pop up in another way. The core issue is that you are reeling about something and you can't go to your life partner about it.
Yep.
That's our problem.
Yeah, not a partner.
Yep.
Not a partner.
Not a partner.
And why? And why are you more concerned about whether or not she's doing some shit on the side than this? Like that part.
It's so interesting about the goals because the couples that I've seen or the couples that I talk to other people about who leave therapy or who don't make it through couples therapy are the ones who didn't have shared goals or who like couldn't come to agreement on like what their problems were. Or, like, well, that's not a real issue or you're 100% of the problem or things like that.
Because now we're just talking in circles. Yep. I can have this fight at home without the therapist.
Yep.
I think it's crazy. I went to couples counseling twice and that was never brought up. Like that concept is new to me. Like
therapists suck.
Truly, right. Damn, maybe that first lady in the Reddit thing was right.
I do think there are a lot of therapists who aren't skillful at what they do. Right. And I think they get caught up in the details as well. Mm-hmm. And I think I think it's really hard, especially if you're like a woman who likes men or dates men. I think it's really, really hard not to empathize with the woman. Mm-hmm. And I think people get caught up in all the hurt and how they would feel and the embarrassment and all, like they just get caught up in
countertransference,
the fluff.
So I've got a question then. Like this is something that I've thought about before, and you guys are kind of bringing it up. So I want to ask, when I look for a therapist, for instance, what you're saying there, I feel like that's what almost every guy is concerned about, right? Whether it's couples counseling, whether it's whatever, it's just you want someone who can kind of see your side, but you also want someone who can moderate and tell you the truth, right? Mm-hmm. Is it like, can you interview a therapist? When I'm looking for a therapist, okay, you can ask those kind of things?
Yes.
Yes, you're supposed
What kind of questions are reasonable to ask, would you say?
You're supposed to. I tell people
have you ever been fucked over by a guy?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Well,
like.
But you can ask. You can
I
like,
get
talk
it.
about feeling nervous, and it's also on the therapist to name that shit in the room too. Like I bring it up to people. Like,
but not in the first time.
Why not? Yeah, I do.
When they're interviewing you before you set up a
no,
meeting?
not in a consult. Like they might bring it up, but in like in an intake, I probably am going to bring it up in a couple session. In a couple session, I'll talk about it.
So
because it's so fucking common.
So some questions that would be, I think, like reasonable, wouldn't make you like feel. You mean like aren't like weirdo questions
I guess
to ask?
because it's like I don't want to be already in therapy with them and then find that out. Like, God damn it, I wasted 3 sessions or whatever.
Yeah.
You know.
I think you could. I straight up just when you call them, one maybe if it makes you feel more comfortable, pick a man. Maybe that gets rid of that altogether.
Yeah.
That's one. I think two, like if you want a woman or like maybe there's a specific woman, one, don't ever go to your, this is before the question, don't ever go to your wife's therapist and just add yourself in and do couple sessions. That's your wife's therapist.
No-no.
She empathizes with your wife, and that's going to impact the session tremendously. She has a trusted relationship with your wife. She has a bond with her, and
she knows all your shit.
And she will lose her as an individual client if she goes too hard for you.
Yep.
And that, no matter what people say, that sways shit. It just does.
It just
wow,
does.
I've never even thought of that, of a therapist thinking of it as an income, right?
But it is.
Right,
is.
of course.
Yeah.
I just haven't thought of that. Yeah.
So that's one. So don't do that.
No.
You guys need to go get your own therapist together. So that's one. And I think the second thing is like, so some questions maybe I would ask when you call to set it up is like, how long have you been working with couples? How do you support men in session who maybe aren't as comfortable? And then I think if you want to be vulnerable, the easiest way to get to it is to just say to them, I'm really nervous to start couples therapy because I feel like I'm going to be judged in session, and just say it. I know that's really hard to do, so maybe just starting with some questions, but you'll be able to tell by their answers and whether or not they're defensive when you ask the questions if they're a fit.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's great advice.
Yeah.
I mean, there's even something where, there's certain types of people like myself that I remember thinking when we're going in, like, she keeps track of everything, right? And so she's got her list of gripes ready to go at all times. And I just don't walk around that way, kind of. So even though I know that there's plenty on each side or whatever, so you do feel like, oh, if it's the wrong therapist, you're going to get overwhelmed or something like that in the room.
Like I'm not allowing that in like my therapy. Like you don't do lists.
Okay.
Yeah,
interesting.
No. Save that shit for outside.
I have had parents come in with lists and like calendar marked dates, and I literally just like, I don't even acknowledge the list, and I just go,
yeah.
What were you trying to get across with that?
Yeah.
That's
literally
awesome.
like bypass it.
Because to me, like,
great. Yeah.
We're back to shared goal. Is the goal who won, or is it what we're moving forward with?
What is
And
this?
it's not that we can't talk about the past. We can hash out the past, because the past is probably part of why you don't trust this person, why you guys don't have shared goals right now. But if it goes from like working through what happened to bashing, we're done.
Yeah.
We're done.
Yeah.
It's done. I literally will be like, people keep talking. Hold on.
Yep.
Wait a second.
Slow down.
It's called catching the bullet. You interrupt
And you're
somebody
literally
before
doing this.
you interrupt somebody before they like take a shot, and you catch it, and you you turn it back to them and say, "Whoa!" Like some version of like, where did that come from? Or some like, you must be really hurt to be saying that. Like, what's going on? Because I know you're not like. You guys are working towards X, Y, and Z, and that's not helping that. So, like, what's coming up? What are you trying to get me to see?
And that's the thing that people are missing, and like that's what they don't realize is you're catching the thing that diverts the argument or diverts the thing to make it worse, or maybe it's really bad, but you're like, what you're losing your purpose. This is self-serving.
I'm modeling not being reactive and just getting to it.
Yep.
Like, let's just get like, because that's what helps in arguments too, is like when you have a pattern of you guys amp each other up, you guys both need to practice being the person to disengage. And I think a lot of people are like, well, they don't do it, so I'm not going to do it. One of you has to start doing it. One of you has to stop reacting to the petty bullshit and just be like, what's going on, or take a break.
It takes you to make the change.
You have to do it.
It takes you to make the change.
So you're like also modeling that. And you're also letting them know like that's not okay. Like where that was going was not.
We're not doing that.
We're not doing that here. No.
I've told people like this is therapy, like that we're not in your house.
Yeah.
Like do that at home.
Should we pull down the stream?
Yes.
All right. And I hate to say, I told you so, but this is fucking awesome. So, maybe. Thanks for doing it.
Thanks for doing all the prep.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Getting people to do questions. That made it better.
Yeah, that was great.
But I still wanna turn up. Yeah, I still wanna turn up. All I want is to go again.
And I'll let you know when it's
But
down.
you ain't picking your phone up. Why you messing my head up?
We have 20 minutes.